Here to cover all things crime, history, and politics, we are at the desk. I'm your host, Alina Surace, and in today's episode, we'll be talking about President Trump's tariffs, Groundhog Day, Black inventors in history, and we're taking a closer look into the history of the Super Bowl. Now, come take a seat with us at the desk. Welcome back to ATD. First, it's time to send it over to the politics panel to discuss President Trump's enactment on tariffs. Over to you, Jackson.
Thanks, Alina. President Trump has had an extremely busy first couple of weeks in the White House, delivering on some of his biggest campaign promises. One of these promises was the enactment of tariffs on several different countries the United States frequently trades with. President Trump threatened these tariffs on the nations of Mexico, Canada, and China. Now, these are some campaign promises he had been making for a while, for several different months, saying he's been being ripped off by these countries. Fentanyl was pouring into Mexico, things of that sort. And that's very important. But I want to start out with the plane crashes that have happened and his response to that, because they were very controversial. I want to start with you, Jordan. What did you think of his blaming DEI and kind of going straight to that instead of mourning the victims?
Well, I think the first thing that I just want to say about this is to the families, our hearts go out to you. You lost people that you care about. There were a lot of good people lost that day. And I think, that was an angle that was missed. That was something that wasn't necessarily said in the initial stages of all of this. And I think a good leader needs to also remember the humanity side of everything. And I also think prematurely blaming DEI is unnecessary. I mean, a reporter asked him whether he was getting ahead of the investigation into the crash by claiming DEI initiatives were connected. Trump responded with, "I have common sense. Okay." I don't think that's a move that a good leader would make. I don't think that has anything to do.
Typical Donald Trump response to NBC reporter.
I just think there's no need to go there just yet. And I think we let the investigation play out. And right now you need to lead your country who's worried about, can I get on a flight safely?
Mm-hmm. I mean, the president kind of has to serve as a consoler, a national consoler to the country. And when you're instantly making things about DEI, it just makes something that's not political. And that's something Donald Trump has done over the years, is frame non-political events or tragedies as political and running on that, and people eat it up.
I really don't think I agree. There's really not much value to add in the conversation. I mean, I 100% agree that you should not go ahead of an investigation, blame it on a certain movement or a stance or anything like that prior to actually knowing what happened. They have to dig through this before they actually make opinions, that is being public officials. But, we know how Donald Trump operates. And, the reason why I don't think this has made the news like it usually does in 2016 and 2017 is because we're used to this.
I just think the statement itself is wrong. I really don't like this rhetoric that he has built up around DEI, because to me, how it comes across as, let's look around, the only Black person at this table, as somebody who is used to being in spaces where there are not a lot of people that look like me, when there are comments made about DEI or being the reason why things fail and being the reason why we don't have qualified people in certain positions, the message that's sending to people that look like me is that you're not qualified. It's either you have the aspect of diversity or you have the qualifications. The two are never mutually exclusive, in my opinion. Obviously, that's not our president's view. From what I've gathered, some may have different interpretations, but I just think the statement itself is wrong. I think that not only was it not the time to do it in the immediate aftermath of a tragedy, but that's just not something that should be said in such a multicultural country. But we're past the point where I can be like, he shouldn't say that, because he's been saying that for
That's
a
what
long
I'm saying.
time.
We're used to it. That's exactly what I was saying. We know
this has been going on.
We've been down this path before with Donald Trump.
DEI has been blamed for everything.
I do think that the reactions to his statements are not as visceral as they were in his first term, because people are kind of used to it now.
Which is also, may I add, a horrifying thing. We're just used to crazy at this point.
Some people wouldn't call it crazy. Some people would just say it's insensitive.
Right.
Not crazy, but insensitive. Just kind of poorly timed. Some people would say there was merit to what he said, but it was just poorly timed. Some people would say it was just straight up wrong. It depends on which side of the aisle you're on.
I really don't see the merit in saying something like that, though.
Well, also the FAA has had a long-standing policy, including people with disabilities in recruitment, but they had made it very clear that there was no evidence that those initiatives compromised the air safety or had any relations to the crashes. Having people, DEI hires, if you want to call it that, in these positions isn't necessarily the problem. And it's not that that's what's causing these issues. They've been doing this for how long? And
Right. The ADA. How long
Yeah.
has that been in?
This has been going on
enacted
for before Trump's
decades.
presidency, Biden, Obama's. This isn't something new, and that we can say, oh, this is what the cause is.
I think the problem here is that this is an open investigation and we're trying to change policy based off of an open investigation.
Mhm.
I think that's the big problem.
Yeah, I think that we should wait until we see, what the actual results of the investigation are, and then we can put the blame on somebody. But as of right now, let's mourn the victims and let's,
Absolutely.
honor what it is.
Absolutely.
It's a tragedy. It shouldn't have happened, and let's go there. But let's move on to the big topic of the day. That is the tariffs. That's the main thing people are talking about with Donald Trump. So he has 3 countries he's targeting: China, Mexico, and Canada. And Canada and Mexico have recently made moves to take troops to their border and kind of complied with what Trump probably wanted. And then China is now starting a trade war with the United States, going up against Trump's recent tariffs. So I want to hear from Yaya first this time. What do you think about his moves with these 3 countries?
I mean, like you said, like he's making good on his promises. That's one thing that you'll never be able to take from Donald J. Trump. When he says he's going to do something, he's going to try his hardest to get that done. That being said, I think the reactions from Canada and Mexico I was a bit surprised when I first saw like the news of like the delay, because I was like, oh, I thought he was going to like push to go like, just full steam ahead. But it doesn't really surprise me because you talked about Canada and Mexico being frequent U.S. trading partners. Not only are they frequent U.S. trading partners, they are largest trading partners. Like that's where most of our imports and exports go to is Canada and the U.S. because of
Their
our
NAFTA.
agreement. Exactly. So I wasn't really surprised that they would make moves to negotiate. I think I was really expecting more retaliation. But I think we were all kind of in a moment where everybody's breath was kind of just being held for a second. And then now that like we have that delay, you can kind of breathe tentatively. I don't think it's a good idea, to be honest. Starting a trade war for what I would say is no reason. I just don't think it's necessary. I think we come to an agreement probably, but a full-on trade war just seems unnecessary.
Well, and I think you bring up an interesting point because you talk about retaliation. And as of right now, there's kind of a hold on these tariffs, what's going to happen. But Mexico has said they're going to put on retaliatory tariffs if we do. Same thing with Canada. With Justin Trudeau urging Canadians to boycott U.S. goods and to buy Canadian goods. So no matter which way you look at this, there's going to be retaliatory tariffs. There's going to be, oh, don't buy American goods now because of this. And globally, that's going to have.
See, like the way I see it, this kind of all just looks like theater. Causing or creating creating an economic crisis for virtually, like what you said, no reason, just feels
for fentanyl in the border.
For fentanyl on the border, which isn't even coming in from Canada. That's a non-issue. And speaking of, Canada pledged to, do a bunch with border migration, help out with all that stuff. They're doing nothing new. This is all stuff that they planned to do back in December. They're just now implementing it. Right. Same thing for Mexico. I mean, they're sending 10,000 troops to the border. They already have 15,000 troops there, and they've done this move twice, once in the Trump administration and once under Biden's. So really, I think it should be more framed as Mexico and Canada being able to stand up to Trump in the face of tariffs. While they've still been extended.
It feels a lot like a power play.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's over $440 billion he's messing with in the American economy between Canada and Mexico. That's a lot of money he's playing around with. That's expandable as well, too, as the economy grows. He's playing around with it. He's taxing companies. And it seems like he knows that his own people, he's mentioned it before, are going to take a hit. But that doesn't seem to bother him. He said
the economic pain will be worth it.
Right.
Well, that's the thing that I think
whatever
is
it's
really
quoted
funny.
as. Yeah, whatever it's quoted as, sure. But the thing is that he is basically outright saying, I care about the upper class. I'm not that concerned about the lower classes, lower hit.
Well, is the only people in the upper class who are being killed by fentanyl?
Sorry?
I think that he's targeting Mexico for the fentanyl purposes primarily.
Right.
That's the main thing. Canada is more so for ripping the U.S. off.
Right, but what I'm
what
saying...
I'm not understanding is what the tariffs
I'm saying that the economy is going to take a hit. He doesn't seem to care.
Well,
he said it, he walked away. He doesn't care.
And he said these tariffs are going to help reduce the cost of living for Americans. Now he's backtracking and acknowledging, maybe this will yield higher prices. And then if you look at it, the Budget Lab at Yale University estimated Trump's tariffs would cost the average American household between $1,000 to $1,200 in annual purchasing power. So the writing was on the wall. We knew tariffs were going to increase prices. Trump kept saying this is going to lower cost of living for This is going to lower costs for Americans. And now we're here and we're like, oh, well, oops, it might make them go up a bit.
I think, Jackson, I would like you to expand, because I think I'm still having trouble with the logic of placing tariffs on a foreign country and how that's going to be limiting the inflow of drugs. Because if, let's I'm taking an econ class right now, so we were just talking about drugs flowing
Bargaining
into the
tool.
market. Exactly, but we have things that can limit the market, right? That's quotas, that's tariffs, that's making things illegal, right? So if making things illegal is already not diminishing the market for harmful drugs, how are tariffs, which are happening on the higher sphere, not in the underground, but like on the legal sphere, how is that going to limit the flow of drugs? And I'm not asking this to be like obnoxious. I'm genuinely like, I'm not understanding the thought process
Well,
behind
the answer to
that.
your question is to threaten to enact the tariffs, no, actually enact them. That's the thing there.
But it's not the government
threatening.
that's funneling the drugs through.
We're not really
Correct, but
getting
he's-
anything out of
he's
the
threat-
threat.
he's threatening it, and so
It's
that way he
fighting
gives
fire
into their
with fire.
demands and
It
it makes a
doesn't
better
work.
effort to stop
It
them
wouldn't
from
make
coming in.
sense.
That's what I believe it is. That's what I interpret it as. I don't think these tariffs are actually going to go through. I think that this month-long delay on Canada and Mexico is not actually going to happen. It was just a threat and just saying, hey, our economy will be hurt by it, but your economy will be hurt worse by it. So you need to give in to my demands. That's what I interpreted Trump's recent move.
That's like an eye
It's
for an
it's
eye.
fire with fire. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's more
Right.
fire on your side, and that's why he's doing it.
It's just why
Yes.
create this unnecessary tension between two of our closest allies.
Well, it's just
two
gonna hurt
neighboring
everybody.
allies. Yeah.
But that's going back, I think, to Trump's kind of more isolationist worldview. I think that he is really putting out there that we haven't seen basically since like George Washington, to be honest. Like being able to so flippantly disregard the years, decades of relationship that we've cultivated with these two countries just to kind of shake the table and to make empty threats. I think that's what's bothering me the most is the fact that you, and I completely agree with you, Jackson. I don't think these tariffs are going to go through. But the fact that you're in such a high position of power globally and you're making empty threats to people that have been your allies for so long, I feel like that's just a recipe for a disaster. There's no need to do that. If anything, you should be trying to further cultivate the relationships. If you really believe that the trade from the United States to Canada or the United States to Mexico is unequal compared to Mexico to the United States, there's ways that you can negotiate through that. That's why we have NAFTA. That's why we have diplomacy, you know? So making empty threats to me just is
Paper tiger.
Deplorable.
It really is just like a paper tiger, like you were just saying.
They're having a moment over there. They're in full agreement. Sorry.
I also want to point out, this hasn't really been talked about in regards to it, but Trump pledged in the agreement to help control the amount of guns being trafficked into Mexico. They haven't talked about any of that. And I think that's really interesting is how much are we really getting out of this deal?
The guns going into Mexico?
Coming out of the United States into Mexico.
Well, I mean, I think that
Exports.
I think that the deal goes through, he would be forced, just by negotiatory terms to do that. And I mean, do you think that having less guns in America is worse or better for America?
It's not about that. These are illegal guns. These are illegal firearms. They're being trafficked across the border. If we're really focusing on border crossings and our borders as great as we say it is, why are guns coming out of our country into other countries?
I think that's one of those things where it's like illegal drugs are going from Mexico to the United States, and illegal immigrants are going into the United States. So it's more of a people. Drugs are coming through one side, and the guns are coming through the other side. So there is a mutual kind of issue there. But yeah, I think that if Trump would be obligated, if Mexico did follow through with their side, then Trump would be obligated to stop the United States end as well, I would say. What do you guys think?
This is why I don't love sitting down and talking about tariffs, because it's just so expandable. Because when you go into the drugs, now you're talking about the cartels, and now you're talking about how Trump declared the cartels terrorist organizations. Now it almost looks like he's giving guns to terrorist organizations, which means he's going against his own value, because he always talks about how he wants to prevent war and he knocked out ISIS. This is just a spiraling. Tariffs being used as a bargaining tool does not get you to the finish line. It just never does. It might get you closer, like we're seeing Trump do the art of the deal, but he did it in 2016, 2017, did it in 2019. Didn't get us too far.
Well, and again, diplomacy, that's why we have it. There's better ways to go out solving these issues than saying, let's slap tariffs on each other, because that's just going to hurt everybody and create more problems than what we really need. There's other things that we could be doing.
Like none of this really needed to happen.
Right.
And I would rather have a president that does what he needs to do, not
Then a
what
little-
he
Well,
wants
we're done
to
with the
do.
comparables for
I know,
presidents.
but,
We're done with that.
I'll
We're
always
done with
gripe
that.
about it. I'll always gripe
Yes.
about it.
And I want to hear a thought from one of you about the China deal, because that one's more of kind of, I think that'll be kind of a long-term thing as opposed to Mexico and Canada. I think that China is a country that's been trading with the United States forever, and this recent tariff we put on now, the retaliatory tariffs from China. One of you just want to give a little thoughts about that?
It's going to end
Anybody?
badly for us because we've
End
already
badly?
been in a trade deficit with China for so long. So if they impose retaliatory tariffs on us, Like we're no matter how many, like no matter what percentage, we can even go to 45% tariffs on China. I really don't think that gap is going to close. So I really think it's just about kind of cementing the US's place as China's opposition, maybe recreating a bipolar system. We never know. But I just don't think it's going to end well for us, for the American consumer.
I'll tell you this. When I was in Puerto Rico during break, I lost my sunglasses in the ocean. First thought, go buy sunglasses in the hotel. They were $5 sunglasses made from China. Will they be $5 in 2 years? Probably not.
That's the question that we all need to figure out here.
That's a real world
Yes.
example. I wish they did that on like NBC and all that.
Yeah, yes.
They need you over there.
Oh,
All right,
thank you.
buddy.
I'm
It's time to
honored.
close out the segment, everybody. Well, that's all the time we have for you today. What do you think of President Trump's recent moves? Let us know in the comments below. Back to you, Elena.
Thanks, Jackson. Now we're taking a closer look into this year's Groundhog Day and all of its festivities. We are back at the desk. Now it's time for the history panel to discuss inventions made by Black inventors that you may not have known about. Over to you, Yaya.
Thanks, Alina. Happy Black History Month to all my friends in the audience. This is a time to recognize all the ways Black people have contributed to American society. And there are a lot. But we don't have all month, so we'll only be focusing on one tonight. We're going to be matching the inventors to everyday inventions that you may not have known were invented by Black people. So guys, I'm so excited to be back with our little games. I think they're so fun and whimsical. So let's really just get right into it. As always, I'm going to have to crane my neck backwards to make sure I can see. And let us get rolling with the first. Okay, so this is mine, John Lee Love. First of all, I love the name. Love the name, no pun intended. But so the love seat, traffic lights, whisk, or pencil sharpener. Which one do you think Mr. Love invented?
My mind is originally going to love seek because of the name, but I don't know if that was put in there to trick us.
No, I feel like love seat's a little too on the nose. I do have a reason for not wanting to pick another one of these, but you know, I'm gonna go with pencil sharpener. Pencil sharpener
For Shay.
I'll fall for the bait. I'll say it's the love seat.
The love seat for James.
Also go with the pencil sharpener.
Pencil sharpener for Audrey.
I'm also going to go with pencil sharpener.
Pencil sharpener, and you three would be correct. James, you fell right in my trap. It's okay. No shame.
He wanted to be different so bad.
So this actually, they called it the love sharpener, which I thought was fun, but I didn't want to put that because that'd be love too many times. But he did invent the modern day pencil sharpener that we see on the walls, and you crank the little handle, not the smaller, more ergonomic ones, but you know, the classic one that reminds you of like, I don't know, AP history or something. So great invention. Love a pencil sharpener. Hey, who is this diva?
Mary Van Britten Brown. This one's mine, guys. So take your guesses.
Oh,
I think I know this one.
So do you know?
Yeah, so I'm not gonna.
Okay.
I'll speak at the end.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. Oh, so you guys both. I don't know. Maybe we're looking on completely different websites. I don't know who this is. I'm gonna go with electric doorbells. That's calling my name.
Okay, Brandon.
I'm going to go with home security system.
That is also gonna be my guess.
Well, you guys
really-
would be correct.
So I
She
lost.
did think Ring, Simply Safe, couldn't have happened without Mary Van Britten Brown. She was a nurse who worked irregular hours and often found herself home in a neighborhood alone at night with high crime rates and a low police response time. So this was her way of solving that. And my parents are probably her number one fan.
Somebody had to do it.
My hero.
Shout out Mary.
Okay, next I think should be mine. Okay, yeah, so Brian Turyabagye,
Oh,
did he invent the MRI machine, a biomedical smart jacket, a gas mask, or the CAT scan machine?
I am going to go with the CAT scan machine. I do have to say that Brian doesn't look happy to see me. He looks kind of angry. And I don't know why that's screaming CAT scan machine to me, so that's what I'm going to rock with.
I think he's just giving face.
Now, because this is a photo that's not black and white and it's in color, I feel like CAT scans are more modern compared to MRI scans. So I'm going to go with CAT scans.
I don't know if it's the bees that's doing something for me today, but the biomedical smart jacket is what I'm gonna go with.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure quite what that is. I'm inclined to choose it just for that reason. So.
Well, you guys then would be correct. So
Hey.
in 2017, he invented a biomedical smart jacket that diagnoses pneumonia, specifically in kids, 3 to 4 times faster than doctors can. So
Wow.
That is very cool.
yes.
We need
That's
more of those.
super cool. A lot more of those, actually. Those should be
Yeah.
Oh, Lewis Howard. Who is this?
This one's mine. Yes.
I feel like I've heard this name before.
I definitely
Yeah.
have. And I totally
gosh.
forget.
Oh
This
gosh.
could be.
Come back to me.
I think that I'm gonna, just for the weirdness of it being there, I'm gonna say sniper scope, because like a typewriter, a light bulb, air conditioning, those are appliances that were used for a long time or are still used. Sniper scope's very niche, so that's calling to me right now.
I think with his glasses, I'm totally profiling him. It's giving me typewriter.
I'm going to go with air conditioning because I want to be different.
I'm inclined to go in the same boat as Brandon, but that's 3 B's in a row. We all know that's bad luck on the test. So I'm gonna go with incandescent light bulb.
One of each.
Congratulations, yeah. You sniffed it out.
Oh,
So,
wow.
as a lot of you may know, Thomas Edison is often credited with the creation of the light bulb. However, it was Lewis Latimer who made it into a more affordable and actually durable, long-lasting design. So without him, it wouldn't have been accessible to anybody. So using the materials to make it cheaper and longer lasting.
Shout out, because I'm looking at how many lights in my face right now. Shout out,
These
Mr.
are
Latimer.
these,
Oh,
but,
well,
you know,
it's okay.
that's okay. This one's mine. Alfred L. Crane. Very handsome fellow.
Oh, I have no clue. A or C is calling to me, but I don't know.
Me too.
I'm gonna go ice cream scooper because I just moved the one that I own to a different drawer in my house today, so it feels like a sign.
Big event.
I feel like butter knives existed for a long time. I feel like knives in general. I don't know. I'm gonna go with ice cream scooper too. I feel like I don't know. Yeah, ice cream scooper.
I'm also gonna go with ice cream scooper, simply because hair dryer. I don't think so.
Make things interesting. I'll pick toothpick for no reason.
You shouldn't have made things interesting because it is the ice cream scooper. Now, Mr. Krell here, he actually is a Pennsylvania guy, which I thought was pretty cool. He was the first black man to ever hold a patent in Pittsburgh. He invented the ice cream scooper because he worked at a drugstore. He saw people scooping ice cream, and he said, I could make that go faster. And I think my favorite part about his whole pitch to get this patent was that he made a rough estimate of how many scoops per minute you could get with an ice cream scooper. He said in his patent that they could get 40 to 50 scoops per minute, which
Holy cow!
I own an ice cream scooper. That takes immense efficiency. But, I mean, Krell said it could happen, and, the rest is history, as they say.
It's just gotta be melted, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's gotta
You
be-
can't be straight out the freezer.
Yeah, you can't do that with like hard ice
Frozen
cream.
ice cream.
You
you
know,
can't
like
do that.
I'll try that tonight. I'll let you guys know in the group chat.
okay.
All right. This is me, Alexander
Wow.
Miles.
Oh, I know this
Big
one.
beard.
So I will
Oh.
answer last.
Yes, that's probably best.
Miles to me looks like a guy who just struggled opening a can, and he was like, yeah, I'm just going to make this go faster. So I'm going to go with can opener.
I'm going to say it was the elevator door.
I'm also gonna say elevator door. I think that's.
I think I'm also gonna hop in that shaft. Go with B.
Puns.
Yes, so automatic elevator doors is correct. He actually created this because his daughter got almost in an accident with the regular elevator doors. So he was like, never again. And then he was like, let's just make them automatic. And I still have a fear of elevators, but I think having the automatic elevator doors makes me feel just a smidge safer. So I don't know what I would do if it was anything else. So shout out to Mr. Miles.
All right, this one's mine's. Another Mary. Mary Beatrice Davidson Kennedy.
Long name.
I decided to include everyone's full names.
I don't know why, but I think tourniquet is calling to me.
I was thinking the same thing. Tourniquet.
Hey, what are we thinking, guys?
You go first.
I didn't want to go first, but I'm going to say surgical stitches. That
Okay,
seems
okay.
oddly specific.
What about you, Jamie?
Band-Aids.
Band-Aids. So, guys, you are all wrong. It was sanitary pads. Well, technically, it was actually the sanitary belt, but the sanitary belt laid the framework for what we know as sanitary pads today. So, yeah, she basically completed the patent application for it, and this invention was described as an eliminator for the shaping and irritation caused by things that were usually used to treat this at the time. However, the company that first showed interest in this product ended up rejecting it because they found out that she was an African-American woman. Yet, fun fact about her, she actually, I believe at the time, owned the most patents for a black woman. So,
Wow.
You have to clap for that one. You have to snap for that one.
Yeah.
Snaps for her.
she proved them wrong, and I mean, she's literally saving lives of so many women today. Like, everyone uses.
Military pads. Yeah.
Exactly.
Shout out.
You're-
You have to think of all the women.
Oh my God,
who-
wait, wait, wait.
Oh my gosh, there we go.
You're on fire today.
What can I
She's
say?
so fun.
All right, Garrett Augustus Morgan. This one's mine.
Oh.
So, did he invent the toaster, the speaker, the gas mask, or the blender?
He looks like somebody that will be bumping. What is this time? What? Like bumping some Ella Fitzgerald in the whip. So I'm gonna go with speaker.
I'm going to go with blender, although he looks like he'd be a high school principal. He's kind of scary.
I see that.
You know, I've seen gas mask show up as an option a little too many times today, so I'm gonna go with gas mask.
I'll round it out with toaster.
So
I
it
love Jamie's
was
logic.
the gas
Shocking.
mask. So he invented the gas mask in 1916. It was technically, he called it a safety hood, and it was the first prototype and precursor for gas masks used in World War One. It's really interesting.
That's so cool.
Fascinating.
This one's mine.
$1 million smile.
George T. Sampson.
Mhm.
Show me
There you
clothes
go.
dryer.
There you go.
Congratulations,
Clothes
guys.
dryer.
He did invent the clothes dryer, the automatic clothes dryer, that being, yeah, so there you go.
Good job, everyone.
Love it.
He need to come back to life and show.
That might be my favorite invention that we've seen thus far. I'm not gonna lie.
I was
pretty
gonna
cool.
say
Yeah.
he need to
Super
come back to
useful.
life and show Whirlpool how to do it because mine never dries my things fully. So
This is mine, Mr. George Crumb. Great mustache.
crumb
I-
and it's all foods.
I think I'm leaning towards potato chips because of all of those options. I think potato chips leave the most crumbs.
Dried fruits have existed forever. And Cheez-Its, it's not Cheez-Its. It's got to be potato chips. There's
Really? I'm thinking saltines. I feel like there's some historical significance to saltines. This is not coming to my mind right now.
I'm gonna put up potato chips.
It is potato chips.
Yes,
Congratulations to
I
three
got
of
one
you.
to fall.
So his original name is actually George Speck, which I find pretty interesting. And the reason that he was called George Crumb is because this famous patron who would always come to this restaurant he worked at would always just mess up his name and call him Crumb for some reason. There was no reasoning behind it. There was no story. He would just call him that. So I think that's kind of funny. Also, the word crumbs don't come from that, just in case you were wondering. If you're wondering, like,
I
potato chip
wasn't. That was a
crumbs or
joke
anything
before.
like
I'd
that.
like to put that out there.
So the reason that he invented potato chips is because that same patron basically would always complain that the French fries were too brittle, too hard, and he couldn't eat them, and they were too big. I don't know why you complain about that about French fries, but I find it interesting. So he went to the back and he sliced a potato very thinly, and then he made it the potato chip. And the restaurant for a long time was very famous for their famous potato chips, which they took the name from the English version of French fries, chips. But what's interesting about his story is that some people wouldn't credit the invention of the potato chip to him, but rather his sister, who tried to claim that she invented it by accidentally slicing a potato and dropping it into the fryer. However, most historical records show that it was in fact George and not his sister. She went as far to actually have the person that wrote her obituary to make sure that they credited her for the potato chip invention in her obituary.
You're
So,
good. I
Not
hate
a
a
lot
girl
of
boss.
good blood between the two of them, but the potato chip eventually wasn't the specialty of their restaurant because a little known man named Herman Lay of Lay's Chips came to the South and started selling chips in bulk, which kind of caused the restaurant to go out of business. But there's still a historical marker where the restaurant laid to this day. You can see it.
That's next level hating on the part of the sister, to be honest.
Yeah.
But we've all done it. I don't want to see my brother
Everyone.
succeed in anything. So just kidding. I love them very much. Okay, this is my last one. So less of an invention. Let's talk more intellectual property.
Intellectual property.
just
Spotify.
based off of
Yeah.
that.
Spotify rap.
Spotify
Then,
rap.
yeah.
Oh
Spot-
wait, I thought I had different options. Anyways, next. You guys are all right. It is Spotify rap. So
Good for
one of
her.
my favorite inventions of the 21st century. And even though this year was kind of terrible because of AI. But fun fact, she was actually an intern when she proposed this idea and she never got credit for it. So I think this is, even though she might not ever see this, but I think this is the best time to give her her flowers. Spotify rap is so good. It's the reason I switched over to Spotify from Apple Music. So I love it. I think that's a great,
Apple Music's better.
well, they
No,
ripped it off from her. So you gotta
Well,
give her credit.
Apple Music's better. They pay their
That's
artists
okay.
more fairly.
We'll talk about it another day.
Yeah.
But yeah,
History music.
shout out to her.
Shout out her.
All right. Another full name, Garrett Augustus Morgan.
Same
So,
person
You're so
as
federal.
my guy
It's sad.
Uh,
who invented the gas mask.
Oh,
He also invented something else.
he was
Yeah.
prolific.
he created some
Oh.
stuff.
I want to say traffic lights.
All right, everyone.
Brennan, you go next.
Show me windshield wipers.
Traffic lights.
Traffic lights.
Traffic lights.
Well, you guys would all be correct. He actually witnessed
Not
an
me.
accident between a car and a horse-drawn carriage, and this led him to create a manual traffic light system, and that basically laid the framework for the traffic lights we see red, yellow, green today. Red,
Wow.
blue, green.
Blue traffic lights
Red,
would be cool
blue,
though.
green.
Yeah.
Colorblind?
All right, let's get the next one.
Not
Cover
driving
with
near
the
you.
color wheel.
This one's mine. Okay, so Henry Blair, either fire extinguisher, lawnmower, corn and cotton planters, or an imaging X-ray.
Look at fire extinguisher.
Mm-hmm.
What is a corn or cotton planter? What does that mean? Like a
planter for corn and
Like a
like a tractor attachment?
Yeah,
Or
describe
like-
that more, Audrey.
team. Can we
So
vote
that-
I'm not
first?
sure what that is.
I'm gonna go with imaging X-ray.
Show me fire extinguisher.
I'll take C.
It is corn and cotton planters. So he was a farmer and a free man before the Emancipation Proclamation, and he invented two devices to increase agricultural production: the corn planter in 1834 and the cotton planter in 1836. And this is actually what that would look like, Brandon. So I'm so glad you asked.
Oh, like a hand-drawn one. Okay.
Yeah.
That checks out. Cool.
But
Good for him.
All right, let's get through this last one very quickly.
Money.
Lonnie Johnson. I thought I've seen this guy before.
Oh man, Super Soaker's too fun not to pick it. Show me Super Soaker.
I'm gonna go with the air fryer.
I'll make things interesting. Go with the CD.
Give me Super Soaker.
You guys got it.
Awesome.
He invented the Super
Nice.
Soaker. Yeah, one of the more fun ones on this list. I thought it'd be fun to include. Excuse me. Yeah, so he invented it towards the end of the 80s, and he's still alive. You can see him in the photo there. He's very proud of his invention.
I would be too.
I would
Pretty
be
much
too,
every.
yeah.
It was actually difficult to find a photo of him without a Super Soaker in it.
I would flaunt it as well.
Yeah.
Okay, well, unfortunately, that is all the time we have. This was so much fun, guys.
It was fun.
It may seem like there are some who would rather ignore or downplay the contributions made by Black people, but Black history is American history. This February, take some time to seek out hidden history. You may just find a new hero. Stay proud. Back to you, Alina.
Thanks, Yaya. With the Super Bowl in just less than 1 week, our Emily Koza is discussing the history of the famous event that draws millions of viewers each year.
Thanks, Alina. Since we are 5 days away from the Super Bowl, go Birds, I thought we should take a walk down memory lane to learn the history of the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl was first established back in 1966.
Okay.
After agreement
Sadly,
between the NFL and AFL, or American Football League. The agreement declared an end-of-the-season game. The very first game was played at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum on January 15th, 1967. It was only broadcasted on 2 television networks, and the stadium wasn't even sold out. The first ever 2 teams were the Kansas City Chiefs and the Green Bay Packers. The Packers beat the Chiefs 35-10, which did not age well. The game was referred to as the AFL-NFL World Championship game up until 1969. Super Bowl Sunday has become so popular that the whole week leading up to it is covered by multimedia channels. The city is hosting has an almost festival atmosphere to it. Viewing parties are held all over the country in homes, restaurants, bars, etc. The game itself now has elaborate pregame celebrations, interviews, and halftime performances. The first ever Super Bowl halftime performance was by the University of Alabama Marching Band, with the Grambling State University Marching Band as a special guest at the 1967 Super Bowl. The tradition of the Super Bowl has continued into the 21st century and continues to gain strength. Last year's Super Bowl between the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers had a total viewership of almost 124 million, making it one of the most popular sporting events in the world. How many people will watch this year's matchup between the 2-time reigning champions, Chiefs, and the Philadelphia Eagles? I know I will. Well, that is for us to find out. Back to you, Alina.
sadly, that's all we have time for today. In the meantime, stay updated with ATD on all of our socials at PSU at the desk. And let us know what you want to see us cover next. I'm Alina Surace, and we'll see you back next week at the desk.